Hey, what's going on, everybody? I've had some major setbacks, most of them my fault, coming up since the week started. But I want to make sure I had a topic for you guys today. I mean, Murphy's Law is like, it's physical, it's here with me. It made sure that on top of me, it came in to make sure that I was also not going to be on track today. But I said, you know what? We're still gonna go live. Regardless of what, we're gonna go live. If it's gonna be my flaws, you're gonna see all my flaws because we're gonna see the buildup, right? We're about documenting our processes as we get through in this world, right? So I just said, screw it, we're gonna do it. I feel like I feel like we're got who's the guy who what is his name? He's been off news so long now. He's like, Epic, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. So I'm literally trying to figure out a lot of stuff that's going on real quick. And I know the major topic that I wanted to talk about, but a lot of my other notes and things that I've written down. This was the day that I decided I wanted to update my notions, and now that's giving me a bit of Bill O'Reilly. That's who's in my head. There you go. So now I'm gonna figure it all out, but I'm gonna give you something today. It may not be as long as the stream as I thought it might be, but we're gonna get something going today. And the topic that we're going to be discussing is basically critical thinking, especially when it comes to social media. But before we even get ahead of ourselves, for those who don't even know, walking into the building or catching the replay, I am Resla, the opinionated host here, where pretty much we discuss things that are going on in terms of ethics, in terms of just having general conversations about tackling narratives, and of course, talking points, things that we hear in the world, but also the influence that media, whether you want to say social or even traditional, pretty much takes its toll on us. And the idea of them we're having this conversation where we're having the discussions amongst ourselves and our peers, are the thoughts that we carry really our own, or are they things that we have been engineered to just believe? And the idea is that when we have these conversations, that you will make the determination for yourself whether these are really yours or it's just the things that you've been believing for so long because you've been hearing it for too much. So, on to our topic today. I wanted to pretty much get into the conversation of, like I said, critical thinking when it comes to social media. I, in particular, have been picking up a new thought process, which, believe it or not, I didn't even know I was doing until I recognized the name for it, which was earlier today. And it's called critical ignorance. So instead of critical thinking, it's critical ignorance. Now, what is critical ignorance? Critical ignorance is literally the discouragement, the literally going through the process of choosing consciously what to not watch when it comes to social media. So when I think about it in terms of myself, as much as people are into so many different things, like they like to hate watch certain discussion videos, or like to hate watch political segments, or they like to hate watch rom-coms or whatever. Put it consciously choosing what not to watch because you know that it's just not something that is necessarily something you should care about is a very powerful thing that people don't tend to look at. So I'll say myself, I do not tend to get engrossed in, say, politics. And the reason why is because I have a normal everyday life that's already so much difficult as it is that I don't have the free time to sit there and wonder about what some fancy ass politician is doing. Whatever laws or whatever things that they influence, it will not make my life any better for the current juncture, because if I have to worry about just keeping the lights on, I have to worry about keeping the lights on. It won't matter what they really throw at me, that won't change. If we're talking about in terms of sports, it's not my business or not my responsibility to worry about what the hell is going on with people in sports. Because you know why? Them mofos is making money. Them mofos is living a comfortable life. I have no concept of an idea of what the heck they're going through, or what their particular struggles are, or how lavish their lives are. I have to worry about the one that I have. And I think about this in terms of a lot of different scales. So I consciously go out of my way to make sure that I do not look at these things. I don't really watch sports. I understand the appeal and everybody wants to look at sports because these are our modern day gladiators, right? some people like to look at the political landscape because these are our modern day gladiators, right? Stupid or not, however you feel about them, whatever. But I also look at this in terms of how we think of things on a major scale coming across the board. What do you want to even say? What teams that we want to represent, or how we feel about particular segments of the departments that we work in, or if you want to even say the political landscape, we'll go back to that. Which party should you be on? Should it be red or blue? And I have to say, who the hell decided that it should just be pretty much red or blue, right? And there's actually a big talk about that I've been reading about why is it we are still stuck in 2024? Why are we still stuck in a winner take all society? And it's an interesting conversation that I haven't had a lot of time to really dive into to get a lot of people's different perspectives, but I will be taking some time to take a look at it. It just gets it just gets beyond me because believe it or not, outside of trying to figure out this whole thing when it comes to content creation, I have a real life. I have things that I am also behind on that I'm trying to catch up on. I'm trying to catch up on some books, even to the point that even though I bought the physical damn books, I don't really find myself with a lot of time to be able to read it. So that means I now have to purchase them on audio just to listen to them, and then try to listen to them as I try not to fall asleep because at the same time when I'm listening to them, you hear some little bit of my ADHD kicking in. Same time when I'm listening to them, I'm also thinking about a new segment that I'm trying to script out for something that's going on, which means I need to do a little bit of research while still listening to this particular audiobook. And then on top of that, well, I have another tab out for there because I have like freaking over 100 freaking tabs sitting up, and that's between Microsoft Edge and actual Chrome itself. And on top of that, I'm thinking of an idea as to how I'm going to be able to fix up a video that I already just turned around and made. And now I'm going to have to edit that video in real time. Can you imagine just how my mind really moves? And another topic that I really want to talk about when it comes to you guys, when it comes to this, is we really suck at multitasking, even though it is the thing that's promoted most when it comes to business, right? And where do we get the idea that multitasking is really good? Where do we get that idea? Well, it's the idea of productivity. And when we look at a lot of people when it comes to productivity, we can also look at a lot of our influencers that believe that you need to be doing all these different things, the multiple streams of income, and you need to be here. You need to have your foot over here. You need to have your freaking hand in this pot. You need to have your other hand diddling someone else. Like you got to be having all these things being done in order for you to be successful. But everybody forgets to ask a very common question. What does success mean to us? So before I start really trying to figure out all of my notes that are scattered all over the place, I do want to take some time to acknowledge a lot of people that are here. First person I want to acknowledge, of course, is Mayo for being the first person to walk into the door. Thank you for walking in, Mayo. I saw everybody else piling in. CCD also coming up in here. Trash, of course, was coming up in here. I appreciate you showing up, sir. Good, sir. And then of course, we see Yvette, of course, showing up. Real life. Ah, interesting. Welcome to it. Love the fact that you picked Spock. Hopefully, we can all find some time to live life and prosper. And look, yo, thanks for showing up. Thank you for showing up. And as you guys are in here, of course, just feel free to hit the like if it's something that you're into. If not, I assume that most of you guys have already got a notification because you guys have already been subscribed to me, right? Right? We're going to assume that. So, outside of it, let's get into this a little bit of a conversation when it comes to social media and digital age. So, I am going to be looking at a lot of my notes because I haven't even had a lot of time to really sit through a lot of stuff because I've been reading things all over the place. And yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that. So, when it comes to social media, it's a big maze of thoughts and ideals. And we're constantly trying to figure out ways to navigate through it. And I really want to ask the question when it comes to a lot of people because it's not just me, of course, but it's all of us. I don't think there's anyone up here who doesn't look at social media for, say, entertainment? Who doesn't look at social media when it comes to gaining knowledge? Who doesn't look at social media to get advice? There's a lot of different things that we use social media for. We use social media to, believe it or not, even chase after the things that we just know are not good for us. Some of us just like to look at food porn. Yeah, that's right. I just said that. I just said the P word. I don't care. We're here to have real, authentic conversations. I know that the YouTube algorithm is going to be all over the place, but this is also something that we need to talk about in terms of social media. The fact that words have now been highly, highly critiqued when having the words and being able to speak what's considered to be part of the English language is heavily regulated. Who decided that things like the word porn, in fact, you can't even say the deletion word, really when it comes to the unborn children, or even when it comes to, as an adult, taking yourself out the game early, because YouTube immediately flags those things. Because even if you're, say, having a conversation about yourself, right? Let's just say if it was me, let's just say I wasn't really feeling too well. I needed to talk about a conversation that I need to have with you guys about a hypothetical time where I might have wanted to self delete. I'm not expected to have that conversation with you, even though there's someone else who can take that knowledge and realize that they're not the only people that's struggling, and that they can take some messages from that. But because social media is so heavily regulated, that message is not allowed to come out. It has to get an asterisk next to that particular video, which could benefit somebody, especially when we talk about males, because we can already see throughout the time of how the events are unfolding when it comes to males. You do not need to be depressed as a male in order to self delete. That's the study out by psychologists now, that males don't show any sign of depression prior to taking themselves off the chessboard. So if you can't even find out when a person should be depressed or when they decide to do that, what can you really say about people in general, and what exactly that we're saying that we cannot talk about because we're too busy worried about the feelings of what people think they interpreted versus what has actually been said in real time. We are so worried about the service level stuff. And that's a lot what social media does. It puts a lot of the social aspects and the wordings that are being used on a very social level, up top of the sea, when all the context that we need is below the sea. It's like an iceberg. Look at the iceberg like like the Titanic, right? Everything that we really need to discuss, everything, all the nuance, how are the words being used, all that stuff. What are the real narratives? What are the real talking points? How are we really interpreting this? Is it just part of a group or not? Am I being indoctrinated? How is it influencing other people outside of me? That's all below the surface. The things that are above the surface are the trigger words. I don't even know if the algorithm picks you up just for saying the word trigger now. I don't. I can't imagine that they wouldn't at this point, since they highly regulate everything else. But we need to really have real meaningful conversations about that. And unfortunately, when it comes to dealing with multi-level platforms, you're being basically regulated into what you can say and what you can't say. And if you do manage to get to a point where you can say what you can't say, you are considered below the pale of being able to gain impressions to speak to other people, because you're a fringe element. You're saying things that are not necessarily popular in terms of what YouTube might like, which is not necessarily a part of their guidelines, but somehow the algorithm tends to pick up things, which is also a part of their system. Just saying. I'm not picking at YouTube. I agree with a lot of the things that they want to do in order to safeguard people. I just question as to how they choose what methods they are using, and is it appropriate in order to safeguard those people? Because there's no such thing as supreme safety anywhere at all times. The entire world has never seen supreme safety. Even these great US of A, right, has suffered attacks, whether it be abroad or whether it had been from our own. But there is no 100% supreme safety. Hell, if you want to go to the movie Minority Report, right? How many of us have already seen Minority Report? Tom Cruise, where they go in ahead of time to arrest people who are basically, it's not even a point of suspicion now. They're going to create the actual crime, right? It's still suspicion. Suspicion is not a crime, but they're going to create the crime because we already have three individuals in a water tank who are basically saying mofos about to commit a crime. But then we realize later on that of the three, only one of them really matter. The other ones are just subjective. So it's a big guessing game anyway. Because at any point in time, that system was going to fall apart. Let's just say that system really rode out its time, right? Eventually, those three candidates, was really only one really mattered, was going to get old and die. What's going to happen to that system afterwards? How are they going to protect this perfect system, which wasn't perfect in the first place because of all the events that unfolded within that movie? Letting you know that regardless of how much we believe our systems can be flawless, flawlessness has to come with flaws in it. Perfection has to come with flaws in it. And this is why we need to take a look at social media in general. When I think about the filtering of information overload, right? I think about the things that how we react when it comes to being overwhelmed with the amount of volume of information from social media, the amount of noise. I'll put it that way. How many of us can say that when we get up, and I'm gonna put this in a time frame. How many of us can say 20 years ago, for those of us who still have phones, I know we have some younger people that are here as well. 20 years ago, I was still in diapers, or I was still a twinkle in my daddy's eye, or whatever. How many of us 20 years ago can say that when we had a phone, we were always just looking forward to seeing what text messages that we were receiving, right? Now the average person who gets on their phone when they wake up, when they're first sitting on the toilet, whatever, sees more notifications than they do that of people who are genuinely reaching out to them. I'll say that again in case you guys really didn't take the time to really think about that one. Most people have more notifications sitting at the top bar of their phone than people who genuinely reaching out to them. Even though we claim social media that we have 500 friends, 1,000 friends, that we have consistent followers. The most disgusting thing that we keep with us, we keep with us at all times is our phone. We take our phone into the bathroom. We lay our phones on all kind of surfaces. We take our phones to the bathroom. We go to public spaces. We put our phones on the ground, and then we put our phones in our children's hands who turn around and put that phone in their mouth. Our phones are the most disgusting thing that we keep with us. And even if you want to say that you cleaned it as best as you could, the radiation that comes from your phone, because we're willing to accept the low level amount of radiation that is still doing some sort of damage to us, because no radiation is still better than having radiation, but we keep radiation because we cannot do without our technologies. Gotta think about that for a moment. A lot of people are willing to accept unknown consequences for luxury. That's just the truth. No shame in that. What? I mean, this is a small chance that I could get a tumor, but do I really want to miss out on an episode of Opinionated with Resla? Absolutely not. Bring on the tumor. Bring on the tumor. And guess what? I thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for that. I would say switch to a laptop or something so that you won't have to worry about that. But it is what it is. Then we put these same phones in our pockets, right? When we're not using them, we put these things in our pockets, close to our genitals, by the way. Not thinking that these things have adverse effects over a long period of time, because while the original phones that still hold a lot of the social media that we have had lower apps, lower battery life, lower everything, right? Now we get the new phones, right? We get a higher dose of radiation because they need to hold all the apps, our cooking apps, our social apps, our dating apps, our apps for the children, our apps for us, our apps for money, to the point where we even had phones getting so hot they were exploding. They were exploding in our pants, not in a good way. I want you to think about that for a moment. We are willing to put ourselves in relative danger for convenience. Just think about that. Because these things should have been tested ahead of time. There are people who put these things in our lab, and then we put it in our own labs. Case in point, I bet, and I'm not even a betting man, I bet there is not one person in this chat who turned around, went somewhere public with their phone, went to the bathroom, and when they had to wash their hands, did not put their phone on the counter. Not in their pocket, on the counter to wash their hands. I'm not even a betting man like that, but I'm almost guaranteed we've all done it at least one time. Now, well, I don't do that. No, you don't recall doing it, but you've done it. Because if you've done it in your own bathroom, you damn for sure have done it in the public. I'm calling you out right now. Don't be a hypocrite. Embrace it. And then you go back to wherever you're hanging out. Could be in a bar, could be in a club, could be in a social setting. And you're touching your phone after being on the counter because your hands were clean, right? Because you washed your hands, right? And then you touch your phone, which is not clean, right? Then you turn around and go back to what you're going to do. You put your phone down and then you turn around and you grab your drink, right? How cool and refreshing your germs are. Oh, is your purse clean? How often do you put your purse down on stuff? On the table, on the ground, on the counter? How how clean would you say your purse actually is? Hmm? Do you do a freaking a blue light in your purse? Hmm? Hmm? How often do you sanitize your purse? And I'll say this about sanitizer since we're gonna get into that. Because social media's put in our mind that sanitizer will kill all the germs. If you fell on the ground and your hands were dirty and you rub sanitizer all over your hands, all that smeared black stuff, is your hands clean because you use hand sanitizer? If you fell and your hand fell in a good old cold pile of dog shit, right? Because you squirted the entire bottle and did this. Is your hands clean? Did you sanitize the shit smear that's on your hand? Hmm? But it's sanitizer, right? 99%, 99.9% of germs, right? Hmm? Sir, you go to the DR, so that means with all the BBLs, we already know that they're not freaking wiping their behinds properly because they can't get back there, especially when they got the long raptor claws. So we know you're safe. Your freaking phone is not safe, sir. Not safe at all. In fact, when you get your phone back, you probably have to do this. Get the flick, the little flakes, the little leftover nuggets on your phone screen. We know this, sir. Stop the cap. It's nasty. It's nasty. There's no way you're gonna tell me that Big Booty Judy was able to keep it in there and it stayed clean. She don't know when's next. You have to get your phone back and you sitting there like, and then it's everywhere. It's everywhere. We're not gonna turn around and believe that, sir. Yes. Yes, absolutely. The flick. Absolutely. Because we're talking about the influence of people on social media, how easily we're able to believe things because we see them and people tell us that they're safe, rather than us using our own common sense and curiosity to take a look at these things. I've seen people squirt hand sanitizer all over their hands and do this, even though I can see the scrapes, the scratches, and the dirt on their hand. And they turn around and will do this. They will grab their food and eat it. I've seen people in bars and clubs refuse to go to the bathroom because they believe that the bathroom is dirty because they don't want to touch the handle to the bathroom door. So they will use hand sanitizer, believing that now their hands have been sanctified. Because why? Because social media or media in general has told you that hand sanitizer is safe. No critical thinking was being used. We follow belief now based on what other people tell us, not because we actually turned around and did the research ourselves or did the thinking ourselves. This reminds me of the water boy. It's a great example. It's a great example. Getting mad over the freaking professor because of the freaking medulla oblongata. But when he said, no, the reason why crocodiles have bad breath is because they ain't got no toothbrush to brush all those teeth. Why? Because that's what mama said. Another form of indoctrination. Social media is no different. Just saying. You're a non-believer in sanitizer? Well, I hate to say this, but I don't think I can walk into people's houses and not see sanitizer. I'm looking for a bathroom when I get somewhere publicly to eat because even me by just walking into the door, I have to grab the door handle. And if I didn't have to do that, I had to go in and grab my wallet, which I know is dirty. People sit on public transportation or even their own car. Let's be honest, your car's not sanitized because you probably sat somewhere or sat in the grass or went out on a date or whatever and then sat in your car. Your car seat's not the most cleanest of places. And there is an acceptable amount of germs that you're allowed to have. I hate to be the CDC on this. There's a acceptable amount. But the question is how much people are willing to ignore the most basic of things because they have been told otherwise. Yo, that's a great example. That's a great example. And they probably already stopped by Sonic's or Chick-fil-A or whatever, and they sitting there with the curly fries like the waffle fries. After they turn around was already at the pump. Absolutely, you are absolutely correct on that. We don't think about the things that we really don't pay attention to. And that's why I'm trying to tie this to social media because we hear so much stuff. We don't, case in point, we see something that we think is crazy. We don't think to do any deep diving on our own we just immediately send it to the next person, not knowing that it's going to be affecting them. We don't think about it. Media's been doing it for a long time. I was having this conversation with my chick. I'm having a regular conversation, but because of the way how the words are being strung out of my mouth, immediately it triggered a song in her head. Many songs, to the point where she's not even just singing the songs in real time while I'm trying to have an actual conversation with her, but she gyrating. Why? Why'd you do that? Why did you do that? Because during that time period for those particular songs, right? They were blasted everywhere, in every store, all over media. Slowly but surely being indoctrinated. How many of us, case in point, how many of us know the words to songs that we hate? And why is that? Because we heard it consistently. I do not like this song. I detest this song. But you heard it everywhere. Case in point, and I'll just say this for me. I got tired of being a kid. I think I was in the Bronx during that time. But I'm just doing my own thing. And a freaking, I don't know, a freaking Jetta or a freaking Ultima or whatever comes through with the freaking windows down. And all I hear is making my way downtown, walking past faces passing them homebound. Why was that everywhere? Almost every station. Why? And I knew the words to it. Not because I wanted to, because it was everywhere. There are songs that you absolutely do not like that you wish would leave your head, but they're in your freaking. I know. White chicks made it happen too, but it was already popular well before white chicks. It was. White chicks just made it funny to listen to it because of the premise of the movie, but it was already in our heads. We know that we couldn't stand this song, and in our subconscious, we were going. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. And we wish we could have had that brain space for something else really important. In fact, here's a good social experiment for y'all. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. How many of you guys subconsciously just said, I'm loving it? I didn't say it. How many of y'all subconsciously just said, I'm loving it? Well, it was out well before Justin. It was out before Justin. It was always a thing. But how many people already said that in their head? Because you were indoctrinated, because it was everywhere. It was on TV, it was on social media, it was over the radio. Some of y'all don't even know when's the last time y'all had a McGriddle. Let's just be honest. Some of y'all don't know when's the last time you had a hash brown from them. Let's just be honest. As much as I smell the fries, I cannot tell you when's the last time I ate a McDonald's fries. And it's right up the block from me. Because I'm doing critical ignorance. I'm purposefully, consciously ignoring them. And it's difficult. That smell gets you. It's crack. We all know it's crack. Oh, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them, Kingdom Minded. when they get older, right, that temptation is gonna be strong. It's gonna be like a kid going to college and the first time they get some freedom. Somebody they're gonna introduce them to McDonald's because McDonald's is gonna be out when your kids is old enough. It's not going anywhere. And then your kids go. Someone's going to introduce it to you. It's gonna be like peer pressure. They're gonna introduce it to you, and it's gonna be over. It's gonna be over. Well, wait. You only did. So Did your kids do? What happens when you touch that egg McMuffin for the first time? Oof, it's gonna be life changing. But I never had eggs like this. I never had a muffin like this. Why does it smell like that? You eat at these particular places, it makes you question your own family's cooking. Damn it. My mom's my mom's pancakes never smelled like this, never tasted like this. I was eating that shit for years. It makes you question if your own family members is even a good cook. My grandma was whipping it in the kitchen for years, for several generations. Never tasted this good. Just saying. And why? Because we're in the. I was having this conversation with my own mother because people are indoctrinated, even to the point where I was indoctrinated from a little kid. We were going through. We were going through. We was having a conversation. We were going through the yearbooks, right? We were going through a family album, and there was a very young picture that I can keep in my mind, and it's of myself and my little brother, and we're kids, and we're both standing there. It's in the Bronx, New York, over on by Jerome Ave, and we're both smiling, cheesing from ear to ear, holding Happy Meal boxes, right? And I remember the little caption that she put, like, rather it's like, this is why they call it a Happy Meal. As an older person now, I kind of want to smack those two kids in the face and kick them in their chest and say, what the fuck were you so happy about? You know why? Because literally across the street was an auto repair place known for picking up some of the hookers. I'm just gonna tell you. The top of the corner was a freaking tire shop place known for being a little bit shady. And across the street from there was a gas station that I never ever saw in service. Nobody worked there, nothing. It just stayed there for who knows how long. And that's where all the hookers hung out to do their business. Why, as a kid, and just in that one block radius, was happy about a goddamn Happy Meal. I get it. Resla, you were young. You didn't know what hookers were back then. You didn't know they were bops. You didn't know. Look, you didn't know anything. My mom did. For what? For me to turn around and be in my 30s when I find out what chicken McNuggets are really made out of? When we find out what the pink slime and everything is. Because why? It only came down to people who wanted to try to break down social media to figure out what we were even consuming. But who knows how long it's been like that. Even to the social conditioning that we have right now, right? To say that there is nothing. Let me repeat that for you. Nothing that smells like McDonald's oil. Name it. Name it. I had one of my exes, right? I said, if something ever happens to you, right? Let's just say you get kidnapped. I need you to beg the kidnappers to get you something to eat. If you're going to be kidnapped, you need to be able to get something to eat. And beg them to take you through a McDonald's drive-through and ask for large fries. You know where I'm going at it, right? And then you get those large fries. You immediately dump those fries and you smear them all over you inside your shirt and everything. They gonna look at you like you're crazy. I know. I know. You do everything. You rub all over you. Because if you have been kidnapped, I'm gonna say, yo, shorty's 5'6", she's brunette, green eyes, white girl. Um, she's got kidnapped. She's gonna be smelling like McDonald's. All you gotta do is get your shepherds or your bloodhounds or whatever and track McDonald's. Hey, smell. Here you go. Here you go. Take a trailer. Because nothing else smells like McDonald's. Follow them right over into wherever warehouse or tire shop or whatever place in the project, but to find them because they smell like McDonald's. But I'm even so socially conditioned by due to social media to even think about that. Just saying. But that's exactly what we do to get a really good commercial. I'm going to have to ask you though, who the chick over there? Who that chick over there? I don't care about the dude sitting there, but who the chick over there? I don't have a lot of Aldis that are near us. What's good, guy? It smells gross, but how many lives has it both ruined and saved because it was the only thing they could eat? And I'm just adding extra context to it. If a person goes missing, if you give them an actual action plan as to what to do for a possible kidnapping, it could save their life. It could save their life. If you train drills like, hey, be caught, this is what you do, it could save their life. Resla, when's the last time you saw her? Man, she was laying on the couch. I went to work, man. She was telling me that there were some guys that was pressuring her, but she smelled like McDonald's. Not Victoria's Secret. Smell like a not whatever other smells going. Smell like McDonald's. Consider yourself lucky and consider yourself fortunate that you didn't go back to it because there are people like people who were forced to be vegans, right? Or forced to be vegetarians because their parents are vegetarians, right? And they get their hands on a steak for the first time. I am a single man. I have always had veggie loaf and tofurkey and whatever the hell else is out there. And I go out with a chick and she's like, can I get this porterhouse? He's like, you wanted to come to this place. You think a vegetarian who takes a bad bitch out to say somewhere like Fogo, there's nothing really for him. And you think she's not gonna sit there and be like, you need to try this buttery steak. Vegan is not religion. It is not. Vegan is just upset bowels. I said what I said. And a weird smelling fart. I'm just gonna say what I said. I said what I said. It's not religion. I couldn't do it. It is okay to have things that are natural. And we're omnivores. We should not just be sticking to one thing or the other. It's just not. It's not it. I eat my vegetables, but I also need to eat meat out here. I can't just be doing vegetables or whatever the hell this mock shit out here is. You cannot be doing it. In fact, soy is not the best thing to keep consuming. It's not. You will definitely get sick from consuming too much soy. Amen to you. Praise meat. Absolutely. All forms. It's okay. And in my estimate, if you want to eat all that stuff, that's cool. That just means it's more for the people who actually do want to eat those things. That's it. When it comes to how we see all these things and how we get influenced over time, right? We need to always question the source, and we do not do that. So I made the comparison when it comes to McDonald's. We never question the source. Look how many generations we had to go by to just discover what McDonald's was doing to us for who knows how long, to the point where they practically kicked out every other fast food business. Y'all can find a McDonald's pretty much a few hundred miles of each other all the time. But how often can you find a Burger King now? I remember they were two top competitors. Now you can barely find a Burger King. When you think of places like, hell, I don't even see many KFCs anymore, to be honest with you. I don't. Anyone old enough here to remember a place called Roy Rogers? I don't even see a place that people still mention from time to time, but it's very rare that you run across it. Dairy Queen. These places really don't exist anymore because I would hear people say that they would rather go to McDonald's to get a McFlurry than go to a Dairy Queen. But, to their credit, it is hard to find a Dairy Queen now. Just saying. And now we have these things that are so popular because of how they've been throwing all their influence on a lot of people throughout all this time, right? And now people do not feel like they can live without them. Most teenagers and early 20 adopters that I see consume a gross amount of McDonald's. I worked with a coworker, right? Smart young lady, everything. And I would look at her and say, "You guys are bugging." She literally spent $40 on strictly the dollar menu for McDonald's. Let me say that again for the people in the back row. She spent $40 worth only on the dollar menu of McDonald's. Was all that necessary? Should somebody love McDonald's that much? Why is it? It's the quantity over the quality. Because I'm sorry, anyone that's telling me that they're eating McDonald's because they believe in quality, you're a liar. You're a liar. You can lie if you want to. I would, in fact, I would tell you, I would rather say that you lie to me rather than lie to yourself. A lot of other people, you should be disgusted at your own actions. There's no way in the world that you should sit there and talking about I eat McDonald's because I believe it's quality food. Knowing that McDonald's doesn't even taste the same everywhere. Smells the same, oddly. Doesn't taste the same everywhere though. Japan does McDonald's very different from the US. Very different. Korea as well. I think the thing that might be closest to what we do is the McDonald's in like India, which I'm not trying that McDonald's. Listen, if it's 3D printed, it's 3D printed. And the dollar menu still hasn't moved from a dollar. Just gonna tell you that. 3D printed meat. How do we feel about that now, too? Because technology has done so much to us to the point where we're, oof, we're fake printing meat. And no one ever asked, what are the materials that are used to 3D print? I'll ask that question again. What are the materials that they use to 3D print? So if they wanted to 3D print meat, right? What are the materials that they're using to 3D print a steak? It's just a question. It's just a question. You can't say, well, I'm using ground beef to 3D print a steak. What was the ground beef prior to being grounded up? So, what is 3D printing this beyond whatever the hell meat? See, people are really interested in the technology aspect of why it is something that could feed a whole lot of people, right? But they don't necessarily think about what exactly is what exactly needs to be sacrificed or what exactly needs to be there in order to create something. Because we cannot create something from nothing. It's even to the point where we had so many scientists talking about we're gonna have to engineer growth or grow meat. Whatever happened? You don't hear about you hear about the 3D printing of meat, right? But you know what you don't hear about? Cloning anymore. Why is cloning not talked about anymore? Wasn't cloning more healthier than worrying about freaking 3D printed meat? I'm just asking a question. I'll even look it up right now. Like, since since Kingdom Mind needs to know, I need to know myself. 'Cause I'm asking the question in real time, so I'm gonna do this research in real time. What is it? Well, for one, I see that it's made from plant-based ingredients. Now, I'm an omnivore, right? And I cannot tell you that I've eaten anything plant-based that resembled the taste of meat, chicken, fowl, beef, nothing. Nothing. There's nothing that's tasted like that from a plant-based source. So then the question becomes, cool. How did they get the taste and the smell? Need to ask some questions. Wood is absolutely a plant. But does a wood but does is there any wood that you would say tastes like ribeye? Because now what we're doing, like a lot of things in social media, is we're creating something that is fake. And I'm not just saying the word fake. I'm using fake as an acronym. And the acronym is false expectation. Sorry, false accusations killing expectation. You're lying about what it actually is there, claim that is something that is really good for you, and what it's made of will freaking ruin you. It says 3D printed meat is used based on the ingredients such as soy. I just mentioned consuming a lot of soy is not a good thing. Pea protein, beetroot. They use a lot of beetroot because that's how you get the color of the meat of the meat. Chickpeas. So with all the rice shortages that we're having and bean shortages, you think chickpeas will not go into a shortage? And coconut fat. I don't know if that's the marbling or whatever, but and then they're 3D printed into meat like forms. This doesn't explain how you got the taste. It's 3D printed cultured meat produced using bovine stem cells, and cow or chicken. So you're not even knowing what kind of animal that you're getting. And they're just using the stem cells. We're having a problem getting proper, you can even say the word rejuvenation or regeneration of stem cells because they cost so much money when it comes to human beings, right? Let's be honest, how we get stem cells, they're a clump of cells that come from what? Come from what? Uterine walls, right? Of those that didn't really quite make it to this planet yet. But yet we have no problem using it from beef and cows and chickens to produce engineered fake vegetable meat. And it should be. It should be illegal. However, stem cells are not considered illegal. And they do actually produce results. They do, and they actually do produce beneficial results. I'm all for science in terms of health because that's how we got to this point we're at now. That's how we got to people living to 100 plus. So I'm not against that. But to make things that do not exist, mm, and you still haven't convinced me on how you got the taste. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that stem cells come with a beefy taste. The smell, as someone who cooks consistently, eats a lot of meat, the texture and the freaking smell, it's a big thing because that's how you're even able to delineate what particular produce you have that goes bad and what's good. The feel of it, because vegetables go bad too, right? But the feel of it when you get that biofilm lets you know in what stage it's at. From it's something that you want to be able to cook or go forward with or whatever. You get that tinged look. Do they say anything about these 3D printed meats going bad? What's the look that they're gonna have? Are they gonna say have the same biofilm? Are they gonna have those same smells? See, these are the things that you don't hear about. But yet we want to mass produce this somehow to give to everybody else. And I'll go back to the original thing that I said. What the hell happened to cloning? What would you rather have? Clone ox to eat or 3D printed ox substitute, mock ox? Because I'm not seeing any answers here when it comes to that. All I see is what they want to turn around and make it look like, what it's possibly made from. They didn't even give a percentage of what it is of these cells, and making sure that it has the precise structure to fool you, to make sure that it has the texture to fool you into believing that the final product is meat when it's aimed at being a replica of what we see as conventional meat. I have never, and I like samosas, I've never bitten into any form of chickpeas, potatoes, or whatever, and I thought, this feels like beef stew. This feels like chicken stew. Never happened. And on top of that, that means you're also trying to turn everybody into basically vegetarians because we must be running low on wildlife. And we know that people are still going to pay for it. If it really meant that we just had to go about hunting down lions, which is toxic, by the way, lion meat is toxic meat, they would do it. They would do it. So it's just something to think about. But we have to consider questioning all the sources of where we are getting our information from. Where are these opinions, or where are the information that's supposed to be verified is coming from? And then we also have to understand our own bias. We have to explore the biases that are shaping online narratives. Because enough people who will get online and make videos, whether they're being paid and they're not saying so, or they're sponsors, whatever, for whatever comes out in the future, you hear enough about it, it will make you want to be invested in trying it. If there was enough reels and shorts out there that said that, ladies, the best, you want some youthful, rejuvenating skin, you want to be forever young, all you have to do is go down to your local Sephora and buy duck semen all over your face. Feel it harden and go into your pores. We have duck semen serum, skin tightening, take care of the neck, look young forever. You just have to have Daffy whack off on you. That's all it takes. Come down to Sephora today. Use code in bio to get 10% off of duck semen. You get enough influencers out there, get enough reels out there, and I guarantee you, just like the Gucci store, just like Louis Vuitton, just like Balenciaga, you're going to see people out there with duck pants, with freaking bonnets on and everything, ready to get their hands, on it. But you know what they're going to say after that, right? Hmm? Duck semen, better than milk, better than your mama's milk. Mmm. Mmm. What's better than milk? What's better than the milk bath? A duck semen bath. How many of y'all gonna subscribe to that? How many of y'all gonna sign up? Let's be honest. Y'all may not want to send them to your girlfriends early. So your girlfriend say, you got this glow on your skin. What is that? Girl, I ain't even want to say nothing. We talk about that later, girl. We talk about that later. And after the party, when everybody's leaving and cleaning up and everybody forgot stuff, that one friend, girl, you still ain't mentioned how you get your skin to be that glowing. She's like, it's Daffy semen. Daffy semen. It's Daffy Duck semen. Girl, I just saw all the ads for that, but I didn't want to try it yet. I ain't seen enough reviews. I ain't seen enough reviews for that yet. You tried it? Yeah. They got a reference code? Yeah, girl. I'll send you the code. Don't worry about it. It's just the way it is. Not for nothing. Social media was the thing that got all these dudes who was up there talking about their hair to go out to freaking Turkey, right? It wasn't because they just heard about it on their own. Social media pushed out Turkey that enough dudes was out there flying. Social media pushed out enough stuff about Dr. Miami and going out to freaking Brazil, or going out to the DR to get this work done. And then what do we all social media? So what do we see social media do later on? Show these chicks on an Uber on their stomach because they can't sit on their ass. Show them basically on the flights in the airport, like How are you gonna do a flight like this? How do you do a flight? Looking at I don't want you looking at me because I happen to be behind you. I didn't need that. That's not what I paid for. You know what you should have did? If you were making that freaking investment, you should have paid for all the seats in your row so that you can lay out on them. But I shouldn't have to sit here and have you watch me the entire trip back to the US. Is that so? That's so. Well, I'm gonna have to ask. I'm gonna have to ask this question to the chat since Zoomer said Zoomer's asking the questions. BBL tastes the same as natural ass because for what I've seen on social media, it don't smell the same. From what I'm seeing on social media, there's enough things popping up saying they don't smell the same. And part of it don't smell the same because of whatever they put in it. It secretes through their blood or through their skin or whatever, and it gives off a different smell. But also, it don't smell the same because they're not able to properly wash back there. Yet, we have so many videos of girls. So if that smell is going off while a chick is hmm, hmm, hmm. But LA's gonna try to have me convinced that he's not sitting there doing this off his phone. I wouldn't even want my phone back. Because obviously I'm gonna need some deep cleaning on that phone. Hand sanitizer is not gonna do it. I listen. So I'm gonna ask this question because I'm gonna say it this way because we're gonna use it. We're gonna use it in terms of like steaks, right? Because we're gonna use it in like terms of steaks, right? What is your Zoomer? What is your cut of ass that you like to eat? Hmm? What is it? Is it a porterhouse? Is it a ribeye? Is it a fine cut? Is it a strip steak? Almost like a flatback Kaylee? What is it? Hmm? Center cut? So you just like having both cheeks smells on your shit while you like having too big all up on your face? Is that what you like? No, don't say kosher. It ain't kosher. It ain't kosher. What I'm getting from what you're saying is that you like to peel both cheeks back, get in, let it go, and they smack you on the side of your face, and you just have ass grease all on the side of your face while you digging in eating groceries. That's what I'm getting right now. That's what I'm envisioning right now. Because you like that center cut. You said you ain't porterhouse. You ain't porterhouse. Center cut though. Just saying. Just saying. Because a lot of girls out there trying to get these, they doing squats. They're doing squats. Because they all trying to get the porterhouse status. I mean, they may not make it. A lot of them might make it to center cut. Not all of them's gonna make it to porterhouse status. And how do you wipe your phone? Hopefully not on your shirt, sir. I'll try, but the image was in my head. The images in my head. Especially those who like to like to chase the big bones. You know you getting. Okay. Can you send me the Amazon link for that? I need the Amazon link for booty wipes. I damn for sure need the Amazon link for that one. Cause a lot of these girls they need it. And like when you get the booty wipes, right? Is it just like it's enough to fit on the hand and they gotta sort of wipe? Cause that's not good enough. Like it's gotta be like long wipes where they could just and they can kind of like just get back there and just kind of floss through it kind of thing. Cause they got a lot going back there. So they kind of have to just do the so I need to see like the big value pack. So send me the link to the value pack so we know that there's some real cleanliness going on there, LA. I don't want the 6 pack. I want like the big value pack. Like you get like, like the 25 pack of the big wipes, the extra big, or they have to like go back there and really floss through the cheeks. So I just need to see that. Please and thank you. So, because there are a lot of us, in aspiring girls out there. I just want to say that. I really wish that we just had a diverse perspective out there. And for some of us, we do. But I think more of us are being taken in when it comes to social media. Because like I mentioned before, a lot of us will see something and we'll send it out. We'll send it out. We don't even think about it. We send it out. Yo, look what I just saw. It's crazy. Not that's crazy. Why they do that? Is this even real? We don't even care if it's real anymore. We just send it out. I got a guy. He likes to send me like pictures like models or girls with big butts or whatever the hell's going on. To the point where he sends me chicks because he's like, yo, this chick look fine. I'm going, that chick is AI. Why are you sending me AI girls? Because dudes is out there so much to the point where they're taking so many different things in perspective. And even to the point where people are getting clicks, views, or guys sending freaking squirt emojis and tongue out emojis over AI chicks. Mm, I'm gonna look that up after the show, sir. Just to let you know. And I love how it says that BBM. Absolutely, I'm definitely gonna check that out after the show. It's not even Amazon, so it's gonna cost a lot. It's probably for the shipping though. It's probably gonna cost a lot for the shipping. They're using premium materials. That means you can't even get overnight. It's probably going Etsy or something like that. To be honest with you. Just saying. Damn. And I'm wondering, like, when I see this link, like, is it gonna be like the wet, like kind of like the Clorox wipes? Like, like, is it gonna come in a tub, or is it gonna be like a microfiber cloth and a big squeeze thing, and they to get in there, and then they just to get it out, or is it gonna come in like wipes, like in tubs? Just makes me. I don't know. Well, I'll have to check out that. I'll have to check out the link later on. Can I ask like can I ask a question to y'all? Why is it we don't look at people with a degree of skepticism as much as we used to? I mean, when I think about the days of how we used to have the door-to-door salesman, right? If you want to look at them as Jehovah's Witness, we got them too. Um, but the idea that we don't look at people with a degree of skepticism as we used to. Oh no, not a whole system. Jesus. That sounds like too much work. I don't Now I know they're gonna be skipping steps. Oof. Oof. You know they're gonna be skipping steps. It's not gonna do the whole step, especially for like a 6-step process. They're not gonna be doing that. You know. So my question is like, why is it we don't hold a degree of skepticism over a lot of people? And I mean over everything. Why do we not question everything that people say? And because when I think about it, right, when it comes to people like politicians, we definitely know to scrutinize and to monitor what they say, right? That doesn't work for everybody, but I would say for a good chunk, we already know politicians lie. So we tend to scrutinize them. But if we see something that come up on our feed, we're less likely to question it. We just go, that's awesome. Click the link. We don't go, oh, this is fake. Oh no, this is probably gonna get people killed. Oh, let me go take my look at this. Even if it means I need to go right in the chat and say, y'all really about to buy this? Really? Y'all don't think this is gonna be a little sus? I know if it was a freaking random ad that popped up talking about uh duck semen syrup on the face, I'm gonna be like, y'all don't think this is sus? And then you're gonna have the one person there. Shut up, you a hater. I'm a hater because I'm trying to ask you if you think it's logical for you to be looking at duck semen that gets ran up on your feeds. And I'm trying to imagine, like, as I'm saying it, I'm trying to imagine how their feed looks. So it's like bars and grills, best spot to eat. Then you see the chick with the booty clapping, like on thick thighs or something like that, or thick US girls or whatever the fuck else go. And then you scroll down again and you just see the duck semen. Why did that? Why did it even pop up on my feed? And instead of even just skipping by it, which would be critical ignorance, it's I gotta find out what is this. And then I gotta click on the link to really get a look at this. This is crazy. I really gotta send this out to some of my friends. And one of those friends might be the mofo who buys it. And then lead into the conversation of why your skin so glowy. There needs to be a healthy degree of skepticism that we keep when it comes to people. People, products, services, systems, we need to do it. Because the next thing that's worse besides ads that pop up, because it while it pitches to us, we are the ones who have to be curious enough to really do that. Now, what about the people that put up ads that we believe that we trust? Influencers. And influencers come in a big degree. There are some that sell, that are some that they pitch to you that they did a particular thing and it works. And because you trust them, because you believe that they got the results by the thing they're actually saying, you turn around and you follow behind them. Or as we call viral misinformation. They tell you a particular thing. I even love when I see videos that turn around and say, hey guys, before you click off, I'm just letting you know this kind of video is not me trying to sell you something. And in the middle of the video, they do an ad selling you something. Go to my course, go to my channel, subscribe to, it only cost. So we weren't selling anything because they expect you to forget. Because the hook was to get you invested to get to at least half of the video. It's marketing. It is. The other thing is basically when these people get you into a particular space because it's an echo chamber. No, we're not going to dive deep into echo chambers today. We already know I did my whole review when it came to echo chambers. But we need to talk about the freaking algorithm and how it basically will throw a lot of stuff to you because of particular echo chambers that you're in. If I am the kind of person who loves to see, let's just say, cops get owned by citizens who knows their rights, you know that's going to be all over your feed, right? Even if you say you only watch 2 videos, the algorithm has chosen that this is something that you are heavily into. And now they will start trying to send you every freaking content creator who does set content. And it doesn't leave you room to really look at other things that can be just as interesting. The last thing I would think about in terms of influences are those that do comparisons for basically fear of missing out, FOMO, right? Wh- Get it now before it goes away. This deal's about to end, such and such and such, whatever case may be. Oh, this is not going to be around forever. Hey, you're not going to live forever. Take advantage of this now. All that stuff. It's a comparison culture that pretty much tries to take away from critical thinking. And instead of thinking, man, this person's full of it, I just need to walk away. A lot of us, we barter. We barter with our consciousness to see if it's something that we should really be invested in. You know what? I'm not going to look at it now. Doop. Add to a new tab. I'll check it out later and see how I feel about it. You're bartering. You're not going to look at it at this moment to make yourself feel better, but you're definitely going to check it out later. What was the point? What was the point? And then we need to talk about basically strategies that people should be using when it comes to critical thinking, because I don't think that we use it as much as we claim that we do. I think most of us get sucked in very quickly based on how media has been molding us for so long. So a good example is when I look at political channels, right? I look at these news anchors, I look at these commentators, things like that, or I look at the social media channels of people who like to look at political news, right? It's you're not it's you're really hate watching if you ask me personally. And this is just my opinion. My opinion. You're looking at the news that you're about to get reviewing these politicians is just going to be bad news. So you're literally following these people who you already believe are going to be idiots, or you already know is going to screw up or something. So you know you're going to disagree with it. So that means you're kind of setting yourself up to be annoyed by following people that you know you're going to be annoyed by, to get outraged. But then we also look at people who are like in that social justice space, like we say we find them annoying, but they look for everything to be outraged by. But then you follow people that you know you're going to be outraged by. It's so funny how we can look at both extremes and say that you do exactly the same thing. It's interesting. But then both sides will believe that they are absolutely polar opposites from each other. And you can look at that in a lot of different spectrums to see how those particular things, those particular groups are all cultivated to be that way. I'm currently going through a little bit of a study on a concept that I saw called political homelessness. It's the people who do not necessarily fully side with one group or another because they just want to be independent thinkers, and yet they are attacked for being fence sitters, for having independent views rather than just saying you need to be on you need to have a D by your name or an R by your name. When the truth of the matter is that you wish to make calculated and careful decisions about who who you're dealing with, but you will get shamed for not totally subscribing, even though you can see people who have an R or a D by their name literally talk ish about the people that reside in their parties. And I find it a really interesting thing. And I'm doing a little bit more research in that because I myself, I am not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I'm definitely, if you want to call me a fence sitter, that's fine with me. I'm trying to understand why being decisive about what you wish to do with yourself is a shaming tactic. Hey, I have independent thought. You're a sissy for having independent thoughts. I'm gonna be shamed for thinking for myself. Nope, you're not thinking for yourself. No, I'm definitely thinking for myself because there really will be no room for an independent party. It's a winner take all system. It's either I'm gonna have potato bread or Wonder Bread, and I'm doing my calculations. It's not a I either I'm going to eat potato bread or I'm going to eat Wonder Bread when there could be another option out there. Just saying. And people are shamed for that. And I find it so interesting because you can have conversations with a whole bunch of people and you'd be surprised the amount of energy and outrage how both sides can have. Now, you could look at it in political, you can look at it for people who are activists, you can look at it for people who are indoctrinated into believing that they've always been one party because their family's always been one party, even though when you ask them, they can easily fall in line with the other party. Like, just like that. But because of social dynamics and because they don't want to be looked at it differently from their family members, even though who they vote for, they don't need to freaking say anything to anybody. When you get behind that voting booth, nobody has to know what you did. But somehow they feel a peer pressure situation just for doing that much. And I find it interesting because each party will believe that the other party doesn't have free will. And I find it very interesting that the people who are trying to exercise free will get mocked for it. But that's also how media has produced it. Because no matter how you look at it in the winner take all system, the other side is the side that gets neglected majority of the time. And it could be a good amount of people. There's nothing you can really do about that. But things that we have a problem doing when it comes to people who are influencing us, people that we are literally paying attention to when it comes to strategies that we need to be putting in place for things that we see on a continual basis. Because every time you open up your phone, every time you open up a browser, anytime you do all that stuff, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see an ad. 9 times out of 10, you're going to see an ad trying to manipulate you. And most people don't do enough uh, having enough media education to be able to ask enough questions. The other thing is most people don't take a time out from social media. That's another thing. Most people are well too integrated with their phone or their tablet or the computer that they don't take a hiatus from the internet to actually see the outside world. Hey, I'm gonna go eat brunch with my girls and I'm going to just absolutely, positively not take a look at social media. I'm gonna put my phone down when I'm with my girls. And I don't think that's a problem because we should be having nothing but current situations or being in the moment when it comes to dealing with people, right? And how do we do that when we're on the phone with each other? Huh? What you said? Huh? Sorry, I was looking at this text. We don't have that. And the last thing, which is always the big thing, because it's one of the main premises of why I talk to you in the way I do, even though I crack jokes about some things, is fact checking. If you hear something, feel free to ask questions. You should never feel, even though people will do it, you should never feel ashamed of asking a question that you do not know. Even though we get people who believe that we should know everything that they know and even vice versa. You don't know that? And if a person says no, let it slide. Here's a chance to let them know what you know. Even though what you know may not be the entire thing, they at least now have a purview or a perspective that they didn't have before. Rather than you say things like, how are you this old and you didn't? Because they have a life different from yours. Because their life revolves differently from you. Because maybe they have other priorities. I was having this kind of debate with a person at a bar when because he's a person that he gets into politics or whatever, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? And he looks at me like, "How is it you don't know about such and such?" And I'm like, "You know why? Because when I get up, what I do is I write, I research, I go outside, and I don't do those two things at all. And I try to experience life, and I try to make sure that my bills are paid, and I try to reach out and talk to clients or whatever. And I try to think of what's the next thing in my life. It's not getting up and being on these damn channels all day. It's not going up and getting freaking the NY post or whatever sent to my damn phone and looking at all this stuff all the time. It's not that. My world mainly consists of me being out there and touching the bricks, touching grass, hearing people speak. That's not part of a damn speaker on my phone. We've come to a point with the social media landscape that we're in that we believe that the world that actually has wind touch our eyeballs is an illusion. Oh, look, who's like you just jumped ahead and you got it right when I was thinking about it. Which is why one of the most prominent things that get brought out now is the Matrix, the Matrix, the Matrix, the Matrix, the Matrix. To try to make you believe that basically the world that you interact with on a regular basis is not real. When the truth of the matter is, and I've said this plenty of times before, that the world that we inhabit, the world that we deal with every time, because you have to turn on your phone, you have to activate what platforms you go to, you have to click to go into those particular apps. You don't have to click to get into life. You don't have to subscribe to get out of your bed. You don't have to subscribe to your sneakers to take a walk. We've come to a point where we take the world of the fake, the world of the digitized world, something that's not tangible, and we bring it into our real life. When the truth of the matter is that real life already exists. And the majority of people who I speak to on a regular basis, all the ish that they talk about that happens in the digital world doesn't happen in their little life. They talk about the things that happen in the digital world, but when you ask them detailed questions, when you just ask them three-layer deep questions, it has nothing to do with their personal life. Most people are just looking for something to be upset about. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't affect them personally. It may affect them socially, but in the personal decision that they have to make on a day-to-day basis, you'd be surprised how many people are really not affected. It might play a factor, but it has never been a groundbreaking decision. Actually, I'm thinking about it in terms of now that I just think about what I just said. I can't remember which was it last Saturday? Ellie, if you're here, was it last Saturday when they were having when OG was having the conversation on the stream and he was saying like regardless of what, when it comes to all the politicians or the presidents that we have in the place, it doesn't really affect his actual life because he's living in his own world. Yes, there are people that make policies, whatever the case may be, but the truth of the matter is that in his own world, these are the things that just happen, and he has to just conforms to them because he's just one person, and that's the truth about most people in this world. Oh yeah, okay, and I agree. I I have gone through several mayors, like you guys, several politicians, several freaking presidents. It never changed the fact that I had to eat. It never changed the fact that I had to pay rent. It never changed the fact that I needed compensation for doing something. It never changed the finite things that had to be done in order to survive. How we survive, we can have a conversation about that, but that's a minor thing on top of the major thing. Where we work, what we do, how we get there. Where are we when we have to pay a certain amount of tax? How much are we making to pay that certain amount of tax? How often do we work? Some of us are only working a certain amount of time. Some of us are only working part time. Some of us have spouses. Some of us has roommates. Some of us are doing it all on our own. Some of us have significant debt. It's all about perspective of situation. So I understood what he was talking about. We can say these politicians, but honestly, unless that politician walked into my house and literally grabbed a chicken thigh out of my fridge, I can't say I'm thinking much about them. You could say, well, it's because of them. That was the price of chicken. It doesn't go away from the fact that I have to pay for chicken. Unless somehow said politician turned around and said, yo, chicken is free. Vote for me, chicken is free. New slogan. Outside of that, whether I pay a quarter or whether I pay $3 later, I'm gonna have to pay. That has not changed. They say the things that are guaranteed are death and taxes, right? Whether you pay a lot of tax or a little tax, you're paying. And you by yourself cannot do anything. And we say that if we get the majority of us, then we can make a change. But has anyone here, anyone in this chat, anyone who's alive today, ever seen a state of, now I say a state, not an instance, a state of deflation? Because we see inflation all the time. So how much are we really stopping? We're gonna have to pay regardless. They turn around even to the point when we argue on the internet for these lives and say, oh, you out here paying for the box, right? But then we also say something that's kind of true. Free women cost the most. Oh, I shouldn't have said that, right? Oh shit. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. But bye, guys. Oh shit. Shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. Dates, gifts, rings, anniversaries. People say all kind of things. But the truth of the matter is that whether you are doing it on the cheap end, if you like quality over quantity, whatever, it didn't say free. You're paying one way or the other. You could be a young person and you say, why is it I'm paying for insurance? Because you have to. Because even though you don't need it this instant, when your ass is in trouble, you need it. Therefore, you're paying for it now. And that's just the way of the world. So I understand those particular takes when it comes to people. Because I know I've thought about it that way. I never once thought that Giuliani or Bloomberg or whatever else was coming in, kicking in the door, and taking my chicken thigh or my chicken leg or whatever, and eating at my table and just saying, yo, you gotta do what you gotta do. This hasn't happened. We complain among ourselves about how we can do things to make things better. We complain, and I'll just say how some of the people say, we complain to politicians because, quite frankly, this is a weird way of looking at it, but it's the way how I've heard it. We complain to politicians because we expect them to make life easier for us. When the model has always been that we have to do for ourselves, that we're pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, even though I've never wore bootstraps. It's a concept that people are supposed to, everybody's supposed to get, but not everybody living in those same conditions. Some people don't have the concept of bootstraps because they have always been on a system. And some of us have had to always pay into something. So we don't understand what you're talking about unless we understand the concept of free. And I don't think there's anyone has ever seen free. Because even the people that do get things for free complain about the choices that they have among the free things that are given to them. Ever seen a person go to a pantry and they complain about what's being given to them? Mofo, you ain't got no food. Beggars can't be choosers. But we see them complain and choose all of the time. But what gave them the idea that they have the right to complain? Because of the influence that has been put over on them. You deserve more. You deserve better. Not a certain people who do a certain thing can deserve something. Everybody deserves something better. And that's never been the case. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. We really need to do some deep diving when it comes to how we think and why do we think that way. And the way that we're thinking, should we not look at that perspective and think about the other side? Most people don't because they think about their situation, but you'd be surprised by taking in as to why you're thinking that way or why the other side thinks that way. You might be able to actually break free of certain influences. But not when you look for echo chambers by consistently getting on your phone to validate that you're going through poverty, that you're in struggle, that you're a victim. Because you're not. We say this all the time, and it's as harsh as it is, it's actually true. You can't, you are not responsible for the things that happen to you, but it is your responsibility to fix those things. And then guess what? It's not going to be easy. It won't be. It will not be easy. But you can either just lie down and just take it. That's always an option as well. We're given a lot of choices out here. You can do whatever it is you got to do to make life better for you. And sometimes that means you have to do the one thing that no one wants to do. Well, I won't say no one, but very few people want to do. Sacrifice. And that's pretty much all the research that I've done so far in the way how I wanted to convey a lot of messages to you. I know we had a lot of jokes about things going on today. That's pretty much what I was thinking about. I want you guys to really, you know what? Let's just go through a quick takeaway. If you happen to be in a mind state where you really believe that things are going a particular way because of another person, another institution, or whatever, I really need you to stop for a moment. Take what we call a pregnant pause and really ask, what are you really doing personally to oversee that situation? Or are you looking for someone else to fix it for you? Because I always look at it this way, as the disenfranchised, right? As the majority, as the working class, we say, these politicians, do you believe the rich think that way? Do you believe the people who are not super wealthy but are well to do off think that way? The people who are able to take advantage of particular taxes, like because they place themselves in a particular tax bracket, because they build up the networks to get to that particular time, and because those people, no, it's not old money. There are very few people who have old money, but there are new millionaires every day. How are they getting that way? Why could that not be you as one of them? Not everybody can be one, but why could that not be you? Are you looking for someone else to fix your issues for you? Or are you willing to make some real strategic sacrifices? And here's the next thing as well, because this is a conversation I've had on panels, but it was way back when. If you don't want it to happen to you because you want the best for you and your family, you may have to understand that you may not be that it boy or that it girl. But that doesn't mean that if you see yourself as being selfless enough, because most of us are selfish, are you willing to make the sacrifices to know that your kids, whoever the rest of your family is, does not have to be the ones to suffer what you suffer through? Are you willing to make the sacrifice to push them forward? Not everybody's willing to. In fact, I would say most people are not willing to. Most people are willing to make some semblance of sacrifice for their offspring, but no one thinks of uplifting their family's namesake so that their family doesn't have to fall back into that particular class again. That's a very few people. Not We don't have a lot of examples of the Rockefellers out here. We don't. And you have to ask yourself, the people who are willing to make those particular sacrifices and make those particular moves and build up a particular infrastructure linked solely to their family. It's difficult, but not impossible. And I just want you to think about, where are you mentally? Are you really looking for someone else to make the change for you? Or are you willing to say, how did the people who have less than I did and now are above me, past me, how did they do it? And are you even willing to do some coaching, do some asking for some rapport in order to push yourself forward? Because most people say, I want to benefit, but I don't really want to do the work. That's my thought, everybody. Tell me what you're thinking. You can, and again, you can tell me I'm off. You say, man, rest the fuck. All of that you talking about, that is some shit. I'd rather be out here strangling these chickens and I'm gonna get rich. Let me know. You know, I'll do it better than that. You can tell me, you can tell me to my face. Good. Tell me to my face. But that's the kind of world that I personally see, in my opinion, that we're at. Because I do think at the end of the day, as much as we want the best for our future and want the best for society to change, the truth of the matter is that society has always evolved in a specific direction. It's always been the haves and the haves not, because the same way how I mentioned our political system, it has always been a winner take all system. And that means for you too. It's not because you're in a particular state or the level that you're at that you can't make it, because there have been people who have been way less fortunate than you who have made it. And there's been people who have been above you who has fell. I'll do a stripper analogy. Who would you rather be? The one who's considered the underdog jumping into the pole position, or the one who's already in the pole position falling out? Because the people who are in the pole position, I respect them because they've already been consistently out there. They consistently do what they have to do to stay in the pole position. But those who are not about their ish fall off of the pole. Because we look at underdogs all the time. We even say there are new millionaires every day, right? But do they stay consistent millionaires? Ask that. You have to ask that question. And if you're asking yourself a deep diving question, we get new millionaires every year, but we're not consistently keeping millionaires. We talk about the people who become millionaires, but do they consistently stay millionaires? And if they're not consistently staying millionaires, what can I do to not only become a millionaire, but to stay a millionaire? Because you can always make a whole lot of money and throw it all away. But the knowledge that you had to make that money, that's the most important thing. How many of y'all really putting yourselves in a particular position to not look at yourself as a victim? Just some food for thought. Because if you're going to be where you are right now, do me, and do a lot of people around you a favor. Say that you're okay being where you are. Don't complain. Don't put don't influence other people to believing that they're also victims. If this is where you've decided that this is where you want to be and you're not willing to struggle to do a little bit more, to dig a little bit deeper, to pound the pavement just a little bit more, don't cry to the rooftops for other people to become discouraged. Don't cry to quit. Cry to get better. Cry because you know it's hard and you know you gotta keep going. Don't cry because you don't want to do any more work and you need someone else to take the load off your shoulder. That's not the way the world works. It's not. It's and I don't even mean to sound like I'm beating up on people or anything like that, because that's not my intention. But as I see the landscape of social media, we are surrounded by people that either want to believe that there are people who are living off the highlights when they struggle to make those videos and struggle to make those pictures, and they're not living off as millionaires. Some of them got really nice places, and some of them, those places are just simply studios. They're sets. They're houses or their apartments that they rent to do said segment and then they leave. They're not staying there overnight. It's like going to a hotel. If it's a fancy enough hotel or Airbnb, you rent it to go to that Airbnb. You do all your shots, all your footage. You stand on the fucking beach. You look like you're living off the fucking shit. And then you grab all your shit. You pack all your shit up. You go to where you're really staying at because you got to get on your flight to go back home. And then you spend a whole week or so making it highlight, grinding it out, making sure that that shit looks like the perfect moment so that you can fake false expectation. So false accusations, killer expectations. You can fake to other people how well you're doing it. You literally just did the whole living like the Joneses effect. And then someone else watching that is thinking that they're living a shitty life. And the truth of the matter is they're just being average. And they can even give up on life because they watched you who's not even really living that. They watch that person who's not even really living that way. We spend more time looking at somebody else and not looking at ourselves. We spend more time even shitting on the next person right next to us in the same position and thinking that we're better than them when the truth of the matter is that they're not doing we're not doing any better than them. We're not. I don't think that you are in a better predicament when you're not in a better position. And I mean respectfully, you're not in a better position. You're average. Even if you're just above average is classified as average. Lower class and mid class is still not upper class. The whole, well, at least I'm doing better than them, it's not good enough. It's not. Even if you don't want to be the very last on the totem pole, the one just above it ain't no better. Just say. And that's my final thoughts on all this. Not kidding, like I said, I'm not trying to shit on you guys, but I really want you to think about where you are. Because I think about this, I thought about this, and I still think about this ever since I left my major employer. And I still hear so many things that happens over there. When you gonna come by and visit? Ain't gonna happen. Not right now, not unless I really need something. I've been doing my thing. I've been doing my thing for over a year now. I'm surprised at the turnaround, but I also had to have a big strategy in place. I had to use all my skills to put myself in a particular task, and I'm still on that task. I haven't close to being made it. I'm only a quarter way of looking at things because I need other things to help navigate. Just to be honest. And you can do it too. Honestly, I'm putting a video, not necessarily how I did it, but some things of what I did, why exactly we should be doing things a particular way. And if I really see it, I don't know, so be it. I will put something together to see if these are the things that maybe you can look at for your own life to say that you can do something for yourself. Because I'm just here doing what I'm doing right now. I am nowhere in a position where I can say I am the example. And even if I was the example, I don't think I would ever sit there and flaunt like I was. Because what I learned through other people. They're the example. They're my example. If I did anything that could help benefit you, I would be your help. I'm not your example. Because anything I can show you, I'm still learning from somebody else. And that's not me being humble. That's just me being the truth about it. Say my most constant creators are willing to work. Yeah, most people's goals, to be honest, they're not big enough. They're not big enough. Do you have people that the goals are just astronomical? They're just absolutely insane, and they shoot for it and they just never hit it. And I rather that person versus the people that set their goals so low is that they hit it and that's the end. They never push past that. They never grew past that. They don't look for the next mountain to climb. I got my goal, and then they're stuck. So there are people like that as well because they just set the bar so low. Sometimes there are plenty of people. There's plenty of kids that just say, "I just want to be better than how my mother or my father." They could have been regular, average people. They said, "I just want to make more money than my dad did." And let's be honest, from when your dad had money to the inflation, and now you see yourself making that money, but you're still living on an average means, just like him. What's that mean? Sure, it sounds like you make more money, but you're no better than them. They're still paying for the same price of eggs that you are. I'm just saying. There's no way that a person who's working 40 plus hours or whatever should be competing with someone who's already retired. That person has already earned their time. They're chilling. Their wage got adjusted to make sure that they can live off of whatever they have. You're still pushing. You should be able to go past them. You shouldn't be competing and doing just as well as someone who's retired because they're not going to work and you are. I say that for my young people. And when I say young people, I mean anyone who's in their particular fields who have not hit retirement yet. What's your excuse? Unless you just really don't want to work as hard. And there are people who I'm reaching out to, people who are like Gen Z and stuff like that, who I want to have conversations with. See just how much we see things differently. And I might even reach out to people who are like Xers because I don't think I'm ever gonna really reach out. Well, that's not necessarily true. There's not a lot of people who I can say I can reach out to who are in the boomer side to really talk about the big generational gaps that we have with each other. Just to see what are the different things that we deal with, normal things that everybody deal with, but how we see them on so many different perspectives. I would have to really think about the people and then the formulation of how that's all going to work together. And then everybody has their own personal lives of things going on. So I have to think about that. But now that I'm thinking about it in real time, that might be something interesting to go through. Might be. Give me your thoughts. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. But the whole purpose of me even having these conversations with you is not to, for one, it's not to influence you. The idea is like because I take the time to sit back and actually think about not only what my own biases are, I do have biases, but then I have to sit and say, oh, I just wrote a whole big shit and I just realized I'm shitting on this whole thing. That's not my purpose. Now I gotta turn around and actively, proactively go back to go up against the same very things that I just pretty much that takes work. And then looking at my pros and cons, or rather looking at my left side and my right side, or my they versus them, or whatever the hell you want to put it at, and then bring it down into a consensus so I can try to be as balanced as possible, which will never be 100%. I would say 70-30. That's the most you probably get from me. But to me, 70-30 is still better than 100% on one side. And that's the kind of thing I want to bring to you guys, because it's like we're all going through our own struggles. And the idea is that sometimes we get caught up. And sometimes the very voices that we have to hold us in place, believe it or not, are not our own voices. It's the voices of society's expectations, false expectations that we let get in here. And that's why I mention things like music. That's why I can mention things like a McDonald's commercial. Because you could just be hungry, sure. But if you hear that jingle, it might be something specific you might be aiming for. Because just like other influences, just like sales, you don't know necessarily what you want until someone else shows it to you. And that could be for the good and for the bad. Anyway, guys, we just went past 6. I don't want to take up any more time. I want to give you whatever the remainder of your day is. Hopefully that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, do me a favor, guys. You know what to do. Just hit that like button for me. And if you're looking at this on the repeat, do me a favor. Write a comment. Tell me what you think. If you think I'm full of shit, or if you think maybe, man, Resla, you full of your fucking, you ain't do nothing really good. Da, 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 da. I disagree with you. And here's my thing. If you really, really disagree with me, and if you have something that you want to say to me and you don't want to be big enough to send it in a freaking comment because you worried about the community in general getting to you, do me a favor. You can always write me at WrestlerOpinionated@gmail.com. If you feel like, oh, that's too much to write, go right to my page, click right on the links, you'll see it. You can just click the button out. You even have to write the whole thing out on your freaking email. WrestlerOpinionated@gmail.com, and tell me what you're thinking. If you really feel like this needs to be even bigger discussion, send me the email. You and I will have the actual discussion. We ain't even got to do it live. I ain't got to try to shit on you or anything like that. We don't have to do it live. We can just record it and just have a conversation, because I'm all about having actual discussions, because the truth of the matter is that I could be wrong. I'm always looking to be enlightened, because my view is not a center view. It's a point of view. With that being said, guys, I hope that you guys have a really good day. Take care of your friends, take care of your family members, take care of your loved ones, take care of your dogs if you got that. I don't like cats, so screw those things. And I'll see you on the next one. Stay opinionated.